Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're taking a really fascinating look at the psychology behind a choice that society honestly just misunderstands. I mean, look around you. It probably feels like literally everyone is pairing up, right? Your friends are moving in together, they're getting married, starting families. And you? Well, you're still alone. It can be an incredibly uncomfortable reality to sit with, especially when the whole world is constantly telling you that a romantic partnership is the ultimate finish line. But here's a surprising fact. More adults are single today than at any other point in recorded history. So maybe you're not broken. Maybe, just maybe, you're built differently. We absolutely all know the relatable pain of this incredibly common question. Someone asked you recently, didn't they? Maybe it was at a family gathering or grabbing coffee with a friend. So, why are you still single? And you smiled, you gave some answer, something vague, something safe, but inside, something tightened up. It makes you feel like you're a giant puzzle with a missing piece. Like people are looking at you wondering exactly what went wrong. It kind of feels like you're waiting at a station for a train that just never came. Okay, let's dive into this because there's a very real reason that question stings so much. We are all subjected to this incredibly rigid societal script. It goes like this. Step 1, graduate. Step 2, work. Step 3, partner up. And step 4, settle down. It is so deeply ingrained in us that if you aren't following this exact linear progression, society just assumes there's a flaw in your programming. The pressure to check these boxes is frankly immense.
But I want to completely shift your perspective today. What if you didn't miss anything at all? What if you simply refused to settle? Because there's a quiet pattern psychologists have actually been noticing across every age group, and really every culture. More and more people, highly intelligent, incredibly driven people, are actively choosing to stay single. And they aren't doing it because they can't find someone or because they're terrified of commitment. No, they're doing it because they've made a completely different calculation about what actually makes a fulfilling life.
Just notice the stark contrast in how people handle being alone. For most people, silence is utterly terrifying. When you are truly alone, you actually have to hear yourself think. And because a lot of folks can't sit with themselves, they rush into relationships just to escape that silence. They're rushing in out of fear, basically filling the void with someone, literally anyone else. But deliberate singles, they do the exact opposite. They build in silence, they learn to sit in it, and instead of breaking, they use that space to discover what they actually like, what they genuinely want, and who they actually are. Section 1. The silence and self-expansion. Let's look at the psychological mechanics of what happens in that quiet space. Psychologists have a specific term for it, self-expansion. This is this profound psychological concept that we grow the absolute most when we are actively pursuing our own goals, developing our unique identity, and chasing our own specific version of a full life. It's all about stretching your capabilities and your understanding of the world. And here is the really fascinating part. A relationship, if it's entered into way too early or just carelessly, actually interrupts this absolutely crucial period of personal growth. Because here is the uncomfortable truth that society loves to ignore. When you partner up prematurely, you risk getting pulled into someone else's rhythm before you've ever even found your own. You end up compromising on your career, your daily habits, your location, and even your core values way before you've had the time to fully define them for yourself. Honestly, premature commitments can completely derail your ability to figure out what a fulfilled life looks like for you as an individual. Taking that time alone pays off significantly, and this brilliantly illustrates exactly why. Studies actually show that people who take the time to develop a strong sense of individual identity report significantly higher relationship satisfaction later in life, especially when compared to those who just rush in with a weak individual identity. By taking the time to expand yourself, you aren't hurting your future chances at love at all. You are actually guaranteeing a much, much higher quality of partnership when you finally do decide to commit. And why is that? It's because of this standout realization. You bring a whole person into that relationship. You are not a half person looking for their other half. Let that sink in for just a second. You aren't walking into a dynamic needing someone to complete you, or to regulate your emotions, or to suddenly give your life purpose. You already did that work. You're whole. Moving on to Section 2, the twist of selective commitment. Here is where the paradigm completely shifts. People love to assume that if you're single, well, you must be running away from love, or running away from intimacy. But intentional singles are actually running towards something. They are running towards self-mastery. They're running toward financial clarity. They are cultivating an immense amount of personal depth.
And guess what? These are the exact traits that ultimately make them incredibly magnetic when they finally do choose someone. They aren't avoiding life. They are building a remarkably sturdy foundation for it.
Which brings us to another core psychological concept, selective commitment. This is the idea that the most emotionally intelligent people out there don't commit less, they commit better. They aren't afraid of relationships, not at all. They are just appropriately afraid of the wrong relationship. They're fully willing to wait, and they do this out of having a high standard, not out of some sort of weakness or inability to find a partner. There is just a massive and vital difference between loneliness and discernment. You see, loneliness operates out of scarcity. It's that deep fear of being alone that leads people to accept mere convenience. They essentially just settle for a warm body. Discernment, however, that is a deep, deep form of self-respect. It's knowing exactly what real compatibility feels like and demanding true emotional availability. The sad thing is, most people never develop this discernment simply because they were too afraid to be alone long enough to find it.
And finally, Section 3, your longest relationship.
As we bring this explainer to a close, so the crucial point is this. The quality of your solitude directly determines the quality of everything you build after it. Your relationship with yourself is literally the longest relationship of your entire life. I mean, you are with yourself from your very first breath right down to your last. And right now, by choosing to stay single, by building your autonomy, you're deeply investing in that primary relationship. That is not something you ever have to apologize for. That is something you need to fiercely protect. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. The very next time someone asks you why you're still single, remember that you don't actually owe them an explanation. But you do owe yourself the answer to this question. Are you just waiting to be chosen? Or are you deciding who is actually worth choosing? If this explainer shifted your perspective today and maybe made you think a little differently about your own power and autonomy, share it with someone who really needs to hear it right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey, and keep building in the silence.